Everybody to this week's ChatterVOX. It's Tofu here. We have Major Malfunction with us today.
Hey y'all.
Hey Major,
Hey, Major. What's up, guys? I'm back.
Jeff Saylor is back.
It was quiet
How
for
have
a
you,
couple of weeks.
how have you been,
Yeah,
Major?
had some hardware issues. I'm trying out a new mic tonight. I bought some crappy prosumer mixer and microphone that I was not happy with. Really bad purchase. If you're gonna do it right and go the right way
With
and go big time.
with Apple,
I am trying Apple AirPods tonight.
and you're sounding very clear, Jeff.
They're very comfortable and they are very easy to pair. So I got to give you a thumbs up, Tofu, on Apple. I'm
Welcome to the
impressed.
ecosystem.
Uh,
Speaking of ecosystems, Major, we have an update for Cerberus, which is the crafting.
Yep.
So we will be talking about that a little bit later. But since there's just the three of us, I might just jump in to where is it? Um, the first thing is the update for Vox. So what has the team been working on over the last fortnight?
The team has been working on. I love it that you use Fortnite. The team's been working on finishing up some of the bits and bobs with crafting, and like you saw, there was an update in the background today, which was nice to see that we can do updates without pushing a build, which is a huge win for everybody. Um, and the next iteration of the store where you can actually buy things from the store. Um, and on the design side, we are deep into like crafting on landscape and decoration and all that stuff. We got a pretty good handle of how we want to do it. Maybe if you ask nice, I'll show you a couple of concept shots.
That would be really good if you could do that. I am going to. Um, I guess there's three types of things we're going to cover today. So the first is obviously talking about the new Cerberus changes, which will include crafting, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, in Discord, we did have a big discussion around rarity and how that may work in the future. So I'll give a little bit of background on what we talked about, and then maybe you could give some insights into that.
Okay. I know
And
what
and
the
then
conversation is, and I haven't even read it.
that's all right. And then the last one is just some general questions that have come up in Discord. Again, they get answered in Discord, but not everyone goes in there. So I just wanted
Right.
to include it here as well. We also have that little bit of a leak that I've just posted in chat, which I will show everybody else, which is um, there seems to be some new characters for profile pics within Voxverse playtest. So we might cover a little bit of that as well, because that kind of leads into something around IP.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I can tell you right now, when it comes to Frankenstein, he's royalty free as long as it doesn't look like a direct ripoff of the Universal monster, right?
Yep,
So, this guy's green. It he's fine. But no, I mean, you're making me open up and look at what else they included. We've been trying to be really careful about that, and let's see. Yeah, that's the only one that even comes close to anything. But yeah, no, we've been trying to be really careful about that. But look, there's a lot of IPs out there that have really cool stuff that we can do. Now, with the public domain stuff, right? I mean, Winnie the Pooh, Wizard of Oz, H.P. Lovecraft, the list goes on. And Flash Gordon next year. Um, there's a lot that we can do. We just have to make sure that we do the version that is from the original source material, not whatever Disney did or whoever played with the IP before in film.
Hey,
yep.
Major. That's cool. I love that idea on those IPs. But what about AMC and DreamWorks Trolls and the TWD Evox, and then also remaining
Those
with Common
we're
Ground
working
World?
on we're working on um uh, some new stuff from Tweety, but I have to wait to say anything before I have to wait for it to get approved. And Trolls, frankly, is up in the air. I have to actually have some meetings with them to see how far we can go with them. They're a lot more protective.
Right, I understand that. It's probably a tough bridge to cross, and it might actually cost a lot of money.
Right,
So I hear you. Okay, cool, cool.
right. And with this again, with there's so many out there that are pretty cool that I don't have to cut a deal or like wait for some third party to make a decision about.
Exactly, right,
I'm much
right.
happier to do that, and yeah, and we're always going to do stuff with the internal guys. Um, what you're going to see is, as we mature, like post like real launch, um, is like we'll do a co-release with The Walking Dead, or we'll do a co-release with Common Ground or Miranda, or whatever, right? So if there's something new going into that game, we'll do a Vox version to come into our game.
Okay, so I guess the where the Frankenstein appeared was in the player profile
Right.
pictures. So um, I'm wondering, there's two questions that kind of get raised from that for me. So
Okay.
one is, will I be able to display my own Vox in the profile pic at some point?
Sure hope so.
Good, I
No
figured that
guarantee there, but I not no guarantee there at the moment. It's not a high priority for us at the moment.
was
But
okay.
but yeah,
And then
I hope that will definitely be a thing.
the other question, I guess, is that the Vox that are there, will they either be characters in game that we can see, and or Vox that we may be able to purchase in a future series?
We have not talked about doing another Vox series. We're quite happy with sticking to skins right now, but never say never, right? We'll see how the game does and see how the popularity goes. But I want to stick to um, more reasonably priced things for now than trying to do another Vox run.
Okay. Okay. So are you thinking then maybe that Frankenstein's monster might well be a skin for Voxverse?
Could be. I mean, there
Okay.
is a holiday coming up soon, right?
There, yes. Okay. Good
The,
to
the
know.
one I will say, the one that I'm not going to show you tonight, but they did one for me for Halloween, um, that I'm pretty excited about. I just can't wait to see somebody who has like 50 of these running around. But I'm not going to say what it is yet. I'll save it for another day.
Well,
Okay. So
One of my favorite
if
monsters.
is my phone gonna overheat if I have 50
No,
Protobox and Vox running around?
no, we've already done those tests, and a month ago I would say yes, but we did a bunch of magic, and yeah, no, it's running really well right now. That's why if you go to the crafting room, like you see that there's like just random Vox walking around. That was the whole point of putting those in, was to so we could just like turn a dial and be like, populate with 200 and see what happens. But yeah, we've got it to a nice sweet spot. You'll be fine.
Major, they weren't just random Vox that appear. I actually had Jeff Saylor's Vox appear in my world.
Did you? I've only had a dupe happen once, and this really weird one with an afro. It's a it looks he looks like a candy cane with a pink afro. And he's shown up in my world twice now. So I think I have to go and find out who he is and find him.
I know. I figured Jeff was just spying on my crafting. That's all I figured.
Right. Right. Well,
See what?
it, it,
that'll
yeah.
come eventually, right? I mean, we definitely are going to have something where you can visit.
What
Uh,
about if I can spy on it like industrial espionage and steal his recipes that he creates?
you know, it's funny, but we did talk about a feature like that at one point of like being able to go in and like do sabotage and like little spy missions, but it just doesn't feel fit the vibe of this particular game. But it's funny that you brought that up because yeah, we actually did fool around with that briefly.
Yeah, maybe, I
And
mean, maybe like a year or two down the road. I don't know. Let's see. It's kind of a cool idea, but I also agree with what you're saying.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just trying to keep this one a little, I don't know, friendlier. I don't know.
yeah. But there's sabotage, which is obviously mean. But then there's other methods. Like graffiti is obviously one way that can be non-interfering, but as a way to show that someone's been here.
So one of the things that we probably are going to do is, and the graffiti is an interesting idea, but I can tell you from my own personal experience is trying to do decals in Unity is problematic. It just doesn't work as well as you want it to. But if we did something like, you drop down a little sign or something, we have played around with that idea. So, like you show up and you're like, you put a little sign with, and you know, put some, you know, you know, Jeff is a jerk and put it on his land, like that kind of thing we've thought about.
Yeah,
The kind of
I was.
hiding aspect, which
Yeah,
oddly is easier in Unity than doing a decal. It doesn't make any sense, but
yeah. I was thinking graffiti more like a stamp or as a note, as you kind of said. You could choose from a pre-selected list, and then you'd see who
right.
said it and what they said, kind of thing. Yeah, they wouldn't have free reign to type anything that they wanted. I think that would be too um, difficult to manage.
Right. There could be set kind of like we use emoticons on Discord.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe a select set of gifts, like yeah, like that, but we just put it on a signage instead of trying to plaster it on the side of a wall. Um, Trust me, it's easier that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
yeah, that
tried
would work
desperately to
fine.
get I tried desperately to get a good decal system working in the last game I did on Unity, and it was like it was it was an albatross for something that should be a simple thing. Never worked right. It just never worked right.
Can I just go back to the Frankenstein monster?
Sure.
One thing I would love to see is also, in some way, the ability to get a angry mob. I think that could be quite funny. So they could have pitchforks and fires and those kinds of things. You could
So
either
put
collect them.
so put that in the in the alpha section. Put that in the suggestions box because like one of the things you guys aren't seeing yet that is definitely being talked about and worked on, but just isn't getting into the game yet is the interaction stuff, right? Like we have all these ideas of like, and Elliot's rocking on them of like, um, if two Vox bump into each other too much, they get mad and like, and start like slap fighting or just like fun little silly stuff that's going on in the background and making the world feel a little bit more lived in. And as we build out the neighborhoods, it will become even more contextual, right? Like they go into an ice cream parlor, they would get an ice cream and walk out and eat it, and maybe drop it and then cry, and like we are putting those kind of interactions in. So if there's funny things that you guys want to see, like just put the ideas in, please. Like we of course it did, right? Right? I hated that too. That's why, like, I think that's actually why, Jeff, to this day, I get a bowl and not a cone. I think that's like one of my phobias. Anyway, um, but put those ideas in. Absolutely. Like, I think it would be really funny if, right? You know, we're trying to go on this line of, um, I don't want to say Looney Tunes because that's like a step too far, but like, you remember like watching um, Roger Rabbit and like they walk into Toontown and there's just kind of like all this stuff going on in the background?
Yep.
That's the kind of overload I kind of want to get into this game. Like, you know, somebody's like, cleaning up trash and somebody's doing this and somebody's doing that. And it's just sort of like there's a lot going on while you're doing your usual daily, like, picking and crafting and doing your other stuff. Like, there's still a bunch of things going on for you to interact with and watch, right?
G-
A lot of
going back to the Looney Tunes idea, the old cartoons that I watched, with like the coyote chasing the roadrunner, and
yeah,
it was like it had stuff like that in it, but as kids, I
absolutely.
guess that was acceptable. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it
yeah. I
like
mean,
messed us up or not, but
so it
yeah,
was.
that kind of stuff could work well in Vox. I mean, with that general idea, just with that stuff, random stuff going on, and you'd be kind of you'd be sitting there crafting and be like, "Wait, what's going on down here?"
Right. What is that fox over there doing? Right? Why is he fishing down a manhole cover? Like, why? Because he can. Um, but yeah, it's just that kind of stuff that, like a Richard Scarry book that we all looked at when we were little kids, or, like that kind of like just little things off of your sight line to keep you entertained. And, because we're not telling a story with this game, we've been trying to figure out like what's the cool way of being able to get Vox personality into this. And so this is sort of like, yeah, exactly. Square dancing. I'm reading the chat here. Have Vox randomly draw hopscotch on the sidewalk. Exactly. Um, you know, those are exactly the kind of things. Um, Square dancing. I'm a New England man, and I had to do square dancing in grammar school. You know, it permeated America at one point. Oh yeah, I had to. It was part of gym. I we didn't do videos in the '80s, man. Like there is no pictures of me of being guilty of doing anything for my childhood. Thank you very much. I was doing I was doing animation with a Super 8, at first a Super 8 camera and then a 16 millimeter camera in my basement with 2000K halogen lights that would like melt the claymation that I was working. So I had to work in like 10-minute sprints before like my characters started melting. Yeah. Now it's like I know nowadays it's like any camera connected to your computer, LED lightings that don't heat up anything. It's freaking easy, and the editor's right there. You don't have to process film. No razor blade. Yeah. I I actually saw a guy. It's hard to like completely deviate the conversation here.
She's not in the
Um,
system. She has no history, no record. And she wakes up this morning and decides to become a felon.
um,
I don't
hey,
be happy with her, but
Crystal,
I mean, look at her. She's making
you
absolutely no attempt to avoid the cameras. And her hands, her fingerprints are on the top of every counter in there. And just right
boop.
there.
I'll do it yourself. Of course, anybody with 420 in their name and not muting with is expected. I muted him. Does that mute for everybody?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he's muted. Yeah.
oh, I can server mute him. What does that do? I feel drunk with power.
Major, I've got another suggestion on the whole upcoming holiday theme idea.
Okay.
And there is a certain three-headed animal that would probably fit into that holiday theme as well as this
We
project.
we have plans for that.
Okay.
Yeah, noted. But we have plans for that, and um, I'll talk about that the next one. That's 2 weeks. There'll
Sure.
be a book going out that you're all going to want to read next week, which something I'm not ready to talk about yet because I want it to just become a little bit more of a real thing. But you know, we're coming up on what I would consider a real release within the next couple of months here, and so you know, I'm looking at things that for all the people that have tested, which you guys have been just amazing, right? Like we really are paying attention. We really are fixing things as they come through. Just been absolutely fantastic. Um, but we're gonna, you know, before launch, we're gonna give you guys some cool things that are, you know, tester exclusives, and probably have something to do with the name of the project. And yeah.
Okay. We've already gone off track,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
that's
That's
okay.
me.
Um, I just wanted to go back to Project Cerberus. We're up to version 3.1 is the latest update that I see. Did you want to talk about the recent changes to Cerberus?
You know, this is going to sound terrible, but I've only been back in the office for a day,
Okay.
so um,
We can tell you
I'm
about the changes to Cerberus then.
okay. Why don't you tell me about the change in servers?
Okay. So there was an article that was put out last month, which generally talked about Cerberus, which I have posted in chat as well.
Right.
It covers crafting, it covers the store,
Yep.
account advancement, land merging,
Yep.
and logging into the account. So with that,
Login is not quite in there yet.
sorry, what was
Correct.
that?
Login to your account is not quite in there yet.
No. It just mentions that it's obviously something that's being worked on.
Right.
And so from there, we now have the ability to craft items,
Yes.
and also a couple of us are upgrading our accounts as well. So some of us are now level 2 accounts.
That's it. Come on, I'm even higher than that.
Yeah, what are all you doing? You got to
No,
reach
this is
for the sky, man.
That first
this,
one's a bit of a leap, I have to say. The second one's pretty easy to get. The going to level 3.
right.
But yeah, that first one to get the second crafting table is a bit rough. I have to say.
Okay, we've got Alex saying that Alex is almost at level 3 for his Vox, his account. Sorry, his account, not Vox. I think Alex is the most advanced of the testers.
Right.
So we obviously have also the bits and bytes, so we can see those, and we've been exchanging resources for bits and bytes as well, which help with the upgrading and obviously transacting as well.
Right.
You go.
Hold on a second. I'm looking at. I have 2 builds on my phone, and I'm just trying to figure out. Oh, that's okay. So on the full version right now, what I'm seeing, I'm looking at the store, is you can sell your stuff now. There's daily deals now.
Yep.
So you can start buying some stuff. There's sort of recipes, but that's not populated correctly. Chests, I don't think is. Maybe it's working. Hold on. Chest is sort of working. Wrong animation. But yeah, so like now you can start going in there and like buying the thing you're lacking of. The stuff for real money is not working yet. We wouldn't do that to you guys.
Well, we'd wait till we have a proper account set up and things like
Right.
that.
Right. But that, just so you know, behind the scenes, I know that that's all hooked up. Like all that stuff is ready to go. But we're not, we don't want you guys to spend money on them while we're in
Hey,
this full.
Major,
Yep.
going back to what you said before we got into this discussion that Tofu kind of glossed over was that the testers might get some free prizes. Will it
Of course.
matter? Will it matter level 1 or level 2 or level 3
No.
or
No.
level
No.
99?
No.
Okay,
No.
just wanted to clarify that. And on that spot, it might not be a bad idea to give away something similar to that during ChatterVOX for people in the audience on a random wheel, and it might help attract, more people because you can see what the tour games are doing. Like people like free stuff, and it might help grow the ecosystem, and that would just benefit everybody. So, just an idea.
Yeah. Point taken.
Okay, I might move on.
Yep.
Let me see where we're up to. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions here from the community. This is again around what we're looking at. But the first one I think you made a mention of in Discord, which is the city design that we've seen currently might have to change because of the mobile interface. Is there anything more that you can talk about that?
Yeah. So let me share.
Oh,
Um,
sharing. I like sharing. Jeff,
I'll
get ready.
no, I'll put it in chat. So the last one that you were commenting on was like it looked like about 4 blocks, so it kind of spread out, and you would have to scroll around.
Yep.
And we were playing around with it. It felt a little clunky, because we really want people to stay in portrait mode. I noticed, I think it was you, Tofu, that took a picture that you're obviously playing in landscape mode, right? Which I do too, but don't tell anybody. But we've really built the game to be in portrait mode, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Um, so we were like, this feels a little clunky in portrait mode. It looks great with that wider view in landscape mode, but if we change the game now, it would be months to rejigger all the UI and all that stuff, right? So we were sticking with portrait mode. So we started looking at like, how can we make this cool? So this is sort of our thought. This is all, prototype art, blah blah blah. The idea is almost a tiny towers going up, 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 up. The top floor is always going to be your penthouse, and that's the one that you'll be able to go inside and um, you do, interior design, right? These other ones are just food stores, entertainment places, business places, um, and then the places on the outside. I'm going to give you another shot a little bit closer up because I just think the art is awesome. Um, right. So we're putting a lot of as usual a lot of personality, and this comes back to that thing I was saying. Like I want people, I want to see Vox hang out the window, and like there's a little egg there on one of them, and there's the little restaurant thing that some Vox will sit down on. And then there'll also be, different themes, right? So there'll be a horror ice cream shop, which we have designed, which is, I actually thought I had it in one of my screenshots, but I don't. But the ice cream is like bleeding blood, and the cherry is an eyeball, right? It's cool. But anyway, so the idea is that you build floors as needed, and there'll be a little game of wants and needs that are going on. Outside of that, on the landscape, is you can do all sorts of decoration. You can put trees in. We're doing a whole thing with kiosks that are also, money makers. And everything, of course, needs a Vox or a Proto Vox to work. Um, and but that whole outside, it's like if you want it to look concrete like this one, great. If you want to pave it over with grass, cool. If you want lava land, great. whatever you want to do with it. Dirt roads, regular roads, types of cars that you want to change. Like it becomes endless.
Okay, so we just to clarify, so we get so the new concept is that there is effectively one tower,
One
effectively.
tower. Yeah.
Okay, so there isn't the adjoining blocks that you just have to scroll left or right to. That
Right. We're
it's
keeping
it's
it
more
all
of
in on the vertical X
okay.
on the yep. See. Yep.
Okay, so does that
Speak, did you just speak some Spanish?
No, the Z axis.
Okay.
Z. Get it. But yeah, the more we looked at this particular design, the more we were happy with it. It gets the customization around the building. It gives the gameplay in the middle, um, of like the wants and needs, and then the last piece will be the interior decoration, and we can go as far as we want with that. Obviously, the first thing we'll do is the apartment, or I'm calling it the townhouse. Um, that's always the top of your skyscraper here. That'll be the first piece that we let you decorate. But eventually, depending on popularity of the game or whatever, you could go in and we can easily get to the place of like decorating the inside of the ice cream shops. And I don't know why we ended up just doing 3 restaurants for this. I swear, like our lead design meeting is like at everybody's lunchtime every day. And we were kind of laughing about this today because it was like we have entertainment things that we're gonna do. We have regular businesses that we want to do, but for some reason we always end up doing the food first.
I guess
That
food is the most common thing that comes to
Yeah.
mind. Are
that
we able
that
to rotate?
hey, Tofu, hold on. I got a question.
Sure.
Major, that is funny that food is so common and it resonates across like the board. In what you're talking about on the interior and stuff, I just have to say I've been watching shows. There's a channel on Pluto TV called Home, and it's all about HGV
Yeah, yeah.
people redecorating and improving like swimming pools or out buying property. So that can make it a really interactive game and bring more of that original vision into it. And I'm loving that direction.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, and like that top floor, it's like if you wanted your pool, you could put your pool up there. Like I don't know if you remember this, but a gazillion years ago, there was a piece of concept art um, of the a pool on a rooftop with a movie screen, and everybody was up there watching Jaws in the pool.
No, dude,
Yes.
that was
I
Tofu's
don't know if you
Yellow
guys ever
Submarine.
Well, right. But I don't know if you guys ever actually saw that piece of concept art, but that's like stuck with me since the beginning, and I'm like, that's going in here, man. Like we're putting a rooftop pool and a movie theater, like it's going in, you know. And this is also opening up all the things that we've talked about before with like,
Right.
we'll tap
Yeah.
in with music and do the jukebox thing, or what is your ambient music for your scene, that kind of stuff. Like we
Well,
have all
that
like
brings
that.
me to one of my main questions, and you just mentioned the pool in like the video projector. Yeah, put
Hmm.
some Gala film on there with the ability to open it in full screen.
Yeah.
And on Gala Music, I mean, what has been developed more on the jukebox idea, and how will that work with the artists and people playing versus the people on the app or platform listening to music?
Right. No, I mean there's a whole side feature with music, right? Especially as what as was explained to me on how the API works. Like we can go nuts there, you know, and music can curate lists. We can tap into player lists. We could feature music. We could do all sorts of stuff. I want to
I
say
got
it's super excited to Fox.
I've got two questions around the building. So can it rotate? Is that the plan, that you can see all four sides of it?
Nope, we're gonna hold just from this view.
Okay.
We decided not to do the rotation.
And then we can see inside. How will we see inside of each of the levels or the floors?
We have to work that out.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be some combination of zoom in or a double click or. Well, we're looking at like those giant signs on the side, you know, like the giant ice cream cone and the taco. Like maybe that's the hot spot. Like double click that. You know, first would be like collect whatever that building is that floor is doing, right? So you collect your tacos, and maybe if you double click, you go look inside. We haven't figured out the actual action of how that's going to work out yet. We have to kind of play around with it a little bit.
Okay. So with the plan, then we could go up 20 floors, 30 floors, or would there be a set height to it?
Right now there's no set height, but there may be, and it may, you know, we'll see if it gets into Silly Town. Um, but we have plans that if we go too high, then we'll be like, you should start another tower next door. Well, like we'll figure out a plan of advancement for that.
Okay.
But right now, yeah, right now it's, you know, just keep building. Um, and you know, we've actually have even talked about like at some point you stop seeing the ground, right?
Yeah.
So like we've already talked about like, well, what do we do for ambience when we get up there, right? And it's like, you know, flying cars and, you know, pedestrians coming by to go to your shops, like by air balloon or something, right? Like we're still like having that, like we still want that rich and scary Toontown thing going on even when you can't see the ground.
So just taking that on, what about going underground? Because some of the original concept art did show some underground spaces.
Yeah, that's been kind of abandoned for now, but again, never say never. Because there's a
Okay.
whole bunch of other cool things you can go doing that way, right?
Yes, correct.
Maybe that's the expansion pack, right? We do evil minion layers and stuff.
Sure. Okay. That was the two things that I wanted to see.
Crypto, not for this game, but never say never. Like, I'm a big fan of like the Fortnite Eminem concert and all that. Like, there's definitely a place for that, but that would have to be a whole other project.
Well, now, hold on, Major.
Well, to
Oh,
do it in VR, I'm looking at the last comment. I'm like, you know, I would very gladly do another VR game.
no. Let me out here. I think it might be a lot easier than you think, that you don't really have to do much at all. Where, like, you're talking about the rooftop pool and movie screen, you might be
Oh
able to
yeah, we
click
can
on
do
that movie
that.
screen, just like I just watched the live show on the Gallic Music app. Just have it
Right.
redirect to the live show.
No, we can
And
do
if
that.
they want to do VR, I mean, that's up to on their part in how they stream it. And
So
it could work
I
with
was
VR
getting the idea
glasses.
that it would be doing virtual concerts inside of a you know, stage and all that stuff, right? I thought that's where crypto is going here, not just streaming
But
video.
that's going to be hard to do on the mobile game.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's a whole separate project. Love to do it.
But what I'm saying is there be an alternative to make it work in the mobile game and kind of connect to the same tech man's using on Gala Music, and
Right,
just redirect it to that. You can exit it and go back to game, but
right.
you can
We can
still
do
go there and
we
watch the
yeah,
live show.
we'll figure out something to integrate with them. I get what you're
Okay.
getting.
I might move on. I might talk about rarity. We've got about 20 minutes to go. So in Vox Discord, and it was like a follow on from what we talked about last fortnight, Major, was that how the rarity system could work or how it might happen, but also rarity.tools no longer exists. So the question also became, well, how would a rarity score be generated in the future? And then I asked the most outlandish question, which was to yourself, what are the chances that we can reissue all Vox with an embedded ranking or score? I know the answer to that is no. But obviously, embedding some sort of score or ranking system within Vox would have been
There's a
a
lot
way
of
around this problem.
there's a lot of sins of the past here,
Yeah.
and the worst part is that before Rarity Tools went down, it would have been nice for them to reach out and be like, hey, we're going belly up, right? Because we would have been able to then, hopefully get a snapshot of their database and have a place to start from.
Yes.
Because you can't even find that on Internet Archive, right? Like it's gone. Like there is no snapshot that I've been able to find anyway.
Now
Um,
there was a different rarity system or website that was mentioned in chat as well.
okay,
So there
but
might be a different way.
right, and here's the thing that like, and we talked about this last time, is like there's NFT rarity, and then there's like in-game rarity, right?
Yep.
Um, and it's it, they don't align very well because some of the things that end up being rare in the NFT world is like Marshawn is wearing glasses. There's two of them. That's rare. That has no perceptible anything in game terms, right? So it's a hard thing for game designers to grok. Like, how do I make it so this rare thing that like because he's wearing a cool T-shirt is now rare, even though it's the same thing as a common, just has a different T-shirt on. It's a hard sell to game designers to call that a rare. Now, if he's carrying a flamethrower and a jetpack, okay, I can work with that. So this is one of the things that's like it's been hard for us to reconcile, like from a gameplay perspective, of like the NFT rarity versus like what we think of an in-game rarity, and
Yep.
and you know again, if the people that created Vox originally were actual game designers, like instead of just, hey, wouldn't it be cool if? Sorry, folks that came before me, please don't come burn down my house. But um, this would be this could have been a problem solved right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Um,
just
so,
hit on all the people
so
that
are there,
hired me. They're not here
are there any thoughts on how it might be resolved going forward?
anymore. I leave that for engineering and lead design,
Okay,
right, to sort that out.
sure.
On that tofu, where it's kind of split up to similar to my Star Common Ground World NFTs, where you got common through ancient, and they're all in that same bracket. But that would still make the rarity matter for, however it would step up for any types of benefits for collecting resources, collecting to however it's going to work for the tokenomics. I mean, that would just greatly
I mean,
simplify it and
so
just say,
that's why we've gone with like Vox, gain levels quicker, they do everything better. They're the only ones that will be able to, you know, work at kiosks and stores and develop Gala, not just, in-game whatever. Um, so they are the special citizens. But is there a difference between um, Eric's dragon and my common farmer right now? No, there isn't. Other than that, he gets a cool dragon.
In the future, Major, there was a different voxel game that I had got involved with, and they had a really good series of articles that talked about how their first edition NFTs mattered and what distinctions that they had. Is
Hmm.
that something that we would have in the future? Like, obviously, we can work out some of these things, but
Hmm.
having a way, like I'll call it a value proposition, but value could mean monetary, but it could also mean in-game value, in-game usage or in-game benefit.
Yeah, I mean
Is,
they're right now. I mean their in-game benefit is that they are the superior unit, and and they're the only ones that can grind out actual Gala coin. I mean that's their value at the moment.
okay.
And then there's
Oh,
the fiction part, which is they're so cool that even the robots that they created want to be them, right? Like that's what the whole Protovox thing is. It's like they know that there's a limited number of 33,000 cool Vox out there, and they want to be one so bad that they're throwing costumes on themselves and looking kind of ridiculous.
I guess also if Vox are the ones that can then work at the kiosks, again, that
Mhm.
becomes another differentiator for
Mhm.
another reason to have one. So that those kinds of things is, I guess, what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I mean, we've even talked about like, is there a special store, for Vox holders? Like, we're gonna put in premium features as we go here, just for Vox holders. Um, you know, we've been thinking about that even for people that are, that do Odyssey, right? Like, what are we gonna do that's special for them? They've been grinding out for 2+ years. Like, should they get a little something something too?
There's obviously different ways around that. Like we do get levels within Vox Odyssey
Hmm.
as well. So I don't know how that eventually will translate into the game, but that could be one method of recognizing the people that have done the grinding within Odyssey.
Yeah, we've been looking at all the data recently on and figuring out like what's the fairest thing to do, for those people, and then like how do we include basically a replacement for Odyssey inside of Cerberus.
Yep.
Um, More to come on that, but I do want it. Yeah, well, that's why we've actually started talking about this. It's like, do we waste our horsepower going and fixing Odyssey, or do you know, we accelerate the replacement, right? Mhm. I know many programmers that would love that. Mhm. Mhm. Right. I gotcha.
Okay. Some of the other questions. I've got a comment here from a certain person called Major Malfunction who says,
Okay, here
one of the two core loops is there. The fun hasn't been tuned in yet, but soon. I'm wondering what you consider those two core loops are.
the collection and the crafting are the two that are in there, right? They're not completely fleshed out first, completely fleshed out, but they're there. And then the next part is, building on landscape and decoration and creativity.
Okay. But I just wanted to clarify on that one. I have a question here from someone called Tofu, who asks about cyborg chickens. Have you made any decisions on that front yet?
I have not.
Okay. Tofu has suggested that perhaps cyborg chickens could be simply robots and with a skin that cannot be removed, so that they could function very similarly to the other resource collecting robots, but actually appear as their chicken form. The idea
Interesting.
behind that is it puts robots as the third level, so Vox, Protovox, robots, and everything else is a robot effectively. I don't know if that simplifies things or makes things harder, but it was just a thought that I had.
Yeah, we'll get back to the chickens.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm sorry. There's so many things that are ahead of the chickens in development right now. But we'll
Okay.
get there.
I
I
think
will say
that's
that somebody on the team's like, why don't we like put get plugged inside of, and I'm like, stop, not yet.
yes. Yeah, I've had ideas behind that before, basically creating a suite of games. So
Yep,
Get Plugged could be one of those games, and they could generate like tickets or some sort of point system, which could then be redeemed within the main game itself.
yep,
And
yep.
so the same thing for the Flower Frenzy could be that it could reward points and or cosmetic NFTs again, which could be used or redeemed within the main game itself. So you end up creating an ecosystem of games along those lines that all tie back to the main game, which is Voxverse.
That is the plan, man. I mean, I want Fox to be a franchise,
Yep.
and so multiple games and anything else that somebody wants us to do. You want Fox toys? Sure, I'll make them. You want Fox cartoons? We'll do that, right? Somebody mentioned Fox music earlier. There's already a plan for that. I want a
Um,
Fox album, because
can
those tracks that we've already done sold really really well. So might as well finish it off and do a pack of 10 and have a
Seth,
Vox creature album.
you're forgetting a merchandise store with plushies and
Oh
dog
yeah.
toys. Speaking of dog barking,
If you think I haven't already looked at a couple of third-party places that do that work, I absolutely have.
Major, speaking of that, um, it had been promised a while ago is the finding uh, a company that could actually do the 3D printing of our voxel FBX files.
That was
My
last regime, but I'll get back on that. Let me get the game out, but that's definitely on my list because I want some now too, right? I've got my little pop caps and Godzillas and stuff here, but I kind of want, there's definitely a handful of Vox that I want printed out myself.
yes,
But
yeah, it was just a case of obviously finding a third party who could help out with the printing and have good quality and be affordable and those kinds of things.
Lego will never touch us. But thanks. I wish.
Okay. Jeff, have you got any more questions, or chat? Have you got any more questions? Because I've run out and we're about at the end of time.
I think I indirectly covered everything I had on the list. So thanks, Major, and thank you, Tofu, as always.
Yeah, thanks.
So expect, periodic updates on the alpha beta. Um, a blog next week with some real news.
Okay,
Teaser about something else that I'm not going to talk about yet.
sure.
And we will be doing some sort of seasonal mystery box this month with ProtoVox and costumes and stuff. So get people more ready for the release. Oh, and you should be as soon as it's available to get your accounts linked, so you can start playing with your Vox. As soon as that's ready, we'll get it out to you. There's been a little bit of snafu, but it's damn close.
Okay, because there was a challenge that Stuck Pixel had, which is because I've got an iPhone and an iPad, so I've been playing on both.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question was, do those resources get merged, or is it only one that overwrites the other?
So that's a good question, and the way I understand it is on the same account.
Yeah, so
We
there's
looked
on the same Apple account.
So what it should do, I'll talk to Stuck about this, but what it should do is when you go onto your iPad, it should log you out of your phone.
Yeah, it doesn't do that. So basically, I have different resources on my two different devices, so
That's
I can craft and give them different activities at the same time, all those
I'll
kinds of things.
I bug that and be like, you can even be mean when you bug that one. But yeah, no, what it should do is it should be, hey, is this logged in? And it should kick you off, right? Same thing
Yes.
that, if I switch machines and I'm using, BattleNet or whatever. All right,
Yes.
I'll make that go away.
Yep. Okay. Or they should just simply be a complete
Yeah.
synchronized between the two.
Right, our sync is really long right now,
Yep.
just to to avoid problems. But yeah, no, that's exactly what it should do. It should just make a call, right?
Yep.
No big
Okay.
deal.
Okay, righto. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Thank you, Major Malfunction, for speaking to us today, and thank you, Jeff Saylor, for the barking dogs. Everyone have a good day, and we'll see you next fortnight. Bye.
Peace.